What is going on, Movie Meals? Movie Meals. Living with my parents. Wish I could say this was the new apartment, but I still have a little bit of time before the old trek happens. But pay your actors, pay your writers. Biggest things out there that we're here still talking about. The only way to truly spread Kenergy is to pay your writers and pay your actors. It's the only possible way to get some good Kenergy. We're finally here for Barbie. I demanded that Kyle wait for Barbie and Oppenheimer, that we could both film it together because I really wanted to talk about these movies. Oppenheimer's already up. Go check it out. Thank you, patrons, give me the can. All that good stuff. Pay your actors, pay your writers. Let's get into it, Kyle. What were your positives of Greta Gerwig's Barbie?
I had a delightful time watching this. Not surprising for myself, I really was enthusiastic with the trailers, the two trailers that we reacted to together leading up to this movie. But on top of that, I've really grown to love Greta Gerwig's work. I think that she has done a great job at being a terrific visual storyteller while also like coming from like a place of authenticism and of heart. And she just has like this dreamy aesthetic, but yet also is able to touch on, harsh realities of women, whether it's in Little Women or in Lady Bird. So I just have really appreciated her work. So I was really excited to see her take on with the big leagues in terms of like tentpole movies, especially with, the first like live action Barbie centric movie. And for me, I think she totally stuck the landing on it. I think that when it comes to the visual aesthetics of this movie, she does a terrific job of making Barbie feel the world of like Barbie Land or whatever it's called to just be playful, but also just visually different, but have like a bit of a pop to it at the same time, as well as being able to have the cast just gleam onto this script, which she co-wrote with her husband Noah Baumbach, and they were just able to do a good job at also being playful, having a little bit of pop to it, but at the same time touching on themes for not just especially women, but just for men and women at the same time, to where I think they do a really great job at having it be a movie about Barbie that is towards adults, to where adults of all demographics could be able to enjoy this for the most part. I think the cast was terrific, particularly with Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, and I'm sure a lot of people are already hearing about how amazing those two are, so I just will echo those points. But I just think in general, it was just a breath of fresh air to have a movie like this, to where, yes, it's Barbie, yes, it's a property, but at least it feels like it has a distinct voice to itself, and it has reason for existing, while also just being, like I said, it's for all demographics, but mainly just a really great voice on the female side of things, to where I feel like most tentpole movies lean more towards male, even though they're trying to be four quadrant type movies. So I don't know. I just was very appreciative of it just feeling so different and feeling so alive, and just being a really great turning point for Greta Gerwig in her career. So Alex, what about you?
I freaking loved this movie. I went in thinking I was gonna really enjoy it, and I was shocked at how much I actually loved it. Look, if you are an insecure white male, you're gonna hate it. It's just a fact, okay? Because that's all I'm seeing is these insecure white
Yep.
males who hate it. This is the biggest group of people I've gone to a movie with, I think, since Endgame. Like
Feels like
we
it.
went with 15 people wanted to go
Yeah.
with me, and they're all scrubs. They're casuals, and I hope they're watching and listening. If you are, let me know. But
Thanks.
they're a lot more casual goers. A couple of them, I would say, were maybe level two or three. But and we walked out of the theater, and one of them said he hated it. It was like, what do you? Of course you did. This movie wasn't made for you. Okay, you were drug here.
Sure.
um,
Yeah.
I adored everything about it. I think all of the casting was perfect and phenomenal. I think Greta is fantastic, not only as a director, but as a writer. I think the script is so incredibly well written that I actually think it isn't getting the praise it deserves. I think
Mm.
the script is so freaking fantastic, but people are hiding behind the jokes a little, or just they're not looking underneath, is what I'm trying to say here, of those jokes. I think the way she uses humor, not only towards men, but how she does the humor towards the women, how she does the humor
Mm.
towards everything. There are very obvious jokes that there's no underlying tone, but there are so many jokes where it's like, wow, this is what AI can't do. That's a real writer who's able to put things in there that if you're really not paying attention, you're not going to catch. And there's a lot of stuff in there. It is a deep script. It like Greta fashion, it is a little bit more of a mother daughter type coming into your own story esque that I wasn't fully prepared for. But I loved. And I left the theater with people who said they didn't like the ending. They didn't like that it does get a little emotional. And I've sat here. I put it at 4 stars on Letterbox, and I have sat here for a week now, and I think I've got to move it to 4.5 because all I do is think about the movie and how much I enjoyed it, how much I loved it, how much I loved the ending, how much I love the themes, how much I love the serious tones, how the humor was phenomenal. I haven't laughed that hard in a theater in ages. Ryan Gosling is so freaking funny. It's awesome. It's so awesome. There are scenes in this movie that pass the Bechdel test, which is great. I mean, it's truly a movie that an amazing writer and director, woman made, that is just so freaking phenomenal. I loved everything about it. I want to get all the Kenergy Ken merch. I have been tempted to buy the jacket on Mattel's website for a week now. But Kyle, what were your
The
negatives?
movie's working.
What were your negatives? And do they have anything to do with the patriarchy?
I don't think they have anything to do with the patriarchy. Yeah, in terms of negatives, I wouldn't say all of the jokes landed for me, but I think that's just based on like your tapes of like the type of humor, if you thought the delivery was solid or not. Maybe you just missed some things, maybe you didn't, but certainly not a movie to where it's very funny, but not all the jokes are gonna land, so take that for what you will. In terms of the themes, I thought they did a terrific job at juggling everything. At times, it kind of feels like it loses its way on what it's trying to represent, but I think it pulls it off in the end to where you can at least grab something of like a deeper value towards the movie. And in terms of if you're a parent and you're watching this movie, if you're watching this show and you're listening to us, if you have really younger kids, they might not thoroughly enjoy it, but because like I said, this is a movie that leans more towards like an adult demographic, but I think at least if you do give it a shot with a kid, eventually the kids will like it on the surface level maybe, and then over time as they get older they'll see more and more of like what the movie is trying to do. Kind of like with some of the better kids movies out there like the Pixar's and the DreamWorks, they kind of have that, but I would say Barbie is a little tougher for kids to like really get into, whereas like a Shrek or an Incredibles, they would be able to really enjoy right away, if that makes sense at all. So maybe not necessarily a kid's movie, but you could try to give it a shot depending on if your kid is maybe, I don't know, 10 or 12 as compared to 9 or under. So depends on where your kids are at age-wise, I suppose.
Well, the movie's rated PG-13, and all the movies you just said are rated PG. And I think the movie is acceptable for anyone 13 and up. I would completely agree to that. I wouldn't take probably a kid who's 10 or 11 as myself, but anyone 13 and up, I think it's not a kid's movie. It's PG-13. It's an adolescent and up movie. That's what they advertised it as. It's what it's labeled as. So I don't know why people are thinking they could take 4-year-olds to it, but granted, the 4-year-olds aren't going to know what the heck's going on other than Barbie's being goofy and there's a lot of fun colors. So, I couldn't disagree with you more on losing its way. I don't think this movie loses its way at all. I think it knows right where it's going. The ship is steered, and the only knock I can give it is if you didn't find some of the jokes funny, then you didn't laugh. I laughed from start to finish. I don't think a joke wasn't funny to me. It felt at times kind of Deadpool humor, obviously not to that degree of maturity, but like in that sort of writing. It was phenomenal. Yeah. I loved everything about it. What a great weekend to go to the movies. The Kenergy is soaring. I'm going to make sure that I annoy everyone with the Kenergy, and I've noticed the trend on people who are a lot more into the Kenergy of the people who saw Barbie first. And everybody who saw Oppenheimer first is a little less Kenergized, and I'm not a fan of that. We can be Kenergized across the board here. And if you get annoyed by it, then you clearly don't belong in Barbie land. Okay? Just get that out of the way.
Wow,
I'm just
shots
being harsh
fired,
today.
man.
Shots
Yeah.
fired. All right, guys. What did you think of Barbie? Comment below. Let us know. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Pay your actors. Pay your writers. Thanks to patrons. Pay your actors. Pay your writers. Thanks for watching, Mom.
See you guys.